I first tried Eldritch a few years back after getting on a humble bundle. I remember playing it for a little over 2 hours, beating the first world, and then my memory gets a little hazy. Something about statues? I'm sure it's nothing. At 41 megabytes, the game would be such a quick download, I thought to myself, why not give it another go? So I load the game up and I start in Asylum. At first I thought this is how the game was supposed to begin, but it turns out that even though I'm on a completely different computer now, this is my old save. Has my game been cursed by forces beyond human comprehension? Well, no, it's just a persistent save system. If you want to completely restart your progress, you'll need to delete the local save file and turn off Steam's cloud storage. I kinda wish there's an option to delete your progress in-game, but whatever. There isn't a lot that carries from run to run, but not starting with a fresh save file is going to have some interesting repercussions down the line. But I'll get to that in a little bit. For now, it's time to leave the asylum. Starting the game proper and you find yourself locked in an abandoned library. A journal entry of the previous occupant in front of you. This will act as the game's hub world. There's not a whole lot to do here, but you're free to read up on some lore or just play around with the lights. Well, this is a library, so we might as well check out some books. The goal of Eldritch is to explore the 3 main worlds and find their soul orbs, which will allow you to escape. The first time you complete a world, the subsequent world is unlocked. After a world has been opened, you can go there even without finding the previous world's orb on any future runs. The worlds in order are the cave-like Dagon, the desert world Nyarla, Nyanthotep, and the sunken temple Relie. There's also the Asylum, which acts as a challenge mode with leaderboard, a Halloween world for getting supplies for a run, and Antarctica, which offers an alternate way of beating the game with its own unique ending. These are all unlocked by default. If you die, you will start at the library with all your items gone and the world's layouts rearranged. Other than worlds remaining unlocked, the only thing that carries across runs is how many artifacts are stored in the bank. Artifacts act as both your currency and the mana for your various abilities, so this can give a run a leg up, but it's not an overwhelming advantage, and you can always beat the game without touching the bank if you want. That's enough about death and its consequences for now. One of the first things that really stood out to me is just how fluid and responsive the controls feel. They're simple, but they give you a lot of mobility. Other than just the expected jumping, sprinting, and crouching, you also have a slide, a lean, and a ledge grab. That last one is a little temperamental, but I don't think I've seen many FPS ledge grabs that don't have similar issues. The game can be punishing. Without any health upgrades, it only takes 1 to 3 hits to kill you, so having cooperative controls really helps keep the game feeling fair. There was never a moment where I felt like a run ended prematurely due to control issues, though there was 1 or 2 close calls. Eldritch has an interesting blend of retro Twitch shooter gameplay and survival horror stealth. The game can go from high-octane fish-punching action to a tense atmosphere at a moment's notice. I wouldn't call this a particularly scary game, but it has its moments. Both modes of play are valid, and your ability to survive will often depend on how well you're able to adapt and react by employing these 2 tactics. You're faster than your enemies, and they're incredibly predictable. But at the same time, ammunition is limited, and it doesn't take much to kill you. Attacking unaware opponents will deal additional damage, but even a knife swing can alert nearby enemies. You could always attempt to sneak past or distract anyone in your way, or you could circumvent the problem by making your own path. You'll find several tools to help you however you play. You can carry up to 2 weapons at a time. That said, there isn't a huge variety, and some of what's there feels redundant. For instance, there's a revolver and a flintlock, which just seems like a direct upgrade over the revolver. On top of weapons, you have access to magic. You can know 1 spell at a time, and you learn new ones by praying to alien shrines. Using magic will cost various amounts of artifacts, depending on what you're casting. Spells can be extremely useful, such as allowing you to levitate or teleport, to less than useful. You also have 3 item slots for various categories of tools that will help you explore the worlds. These include boots that let you jump higher, amulets that make bullets destroy terrain, and kits that will revive you for a price. While exploring the labyrinthian worlds, you'll quickly realize that enemies respawn. It can be quite a surprise stumbling into a room you've already cleared just to be blindsided by an attack. At first this seemed like a fitting mechanic. You can keep the horde at bay, but what you're fighting is ultimately an unstoppable force. You're always in danger. It made the game feel suitably hostile. I only thought this because I was playing an old save, so I didn't get a chance to read the tutorial on looting. It turns out that enemies will respawn, but only if you've looted their corpses. I can't help but feel like making this mechanic something the player has direct influence over is so thematically inappropriate. When I was playing the game with the mistaken belief that I could never truly clear out a level, I constantly felt a sense of urgency and uncertainty. But when I finally figured out what was going on, it just felt like farming monsters. I can kill everything, loot the weak enemies while leaving the difficult ones dead, and acquire as many supplies as I want. I don't know, it just feels wrong after playing it not knowing any better. On a positive note, it does add a layer of strategy where you have to think of when and if you'll loot a corpse. Another really weird thing I've noticed is the difficulty curve. After beating the first world Dagon, I quickly remembered what made me stop all those years back. There is a massive jump in difficulty in the second world. While repeatedly trying to overcome it, I kept on wondering how much harder the final world must be. After opening up Relia, I was ready for a challenge. And it turns out, it's pretty easy. Maybe only slightly harder than Dagon was. It's so weird and a little disappointing. Easily 80% of my deaths were on World 2. Even on replays, that's the one that gives me the most challenge. I've drawn a rough diagram. In all honesty, Eldritch isn't really that hard of a game, but the sudden difficulty spike is definitely disorienting. I tried the game on a fresh save after finishing it once, and found that I was able to beat it in one life. That said, there is a new Game Plus mode if you're looking for more of a challenge, and there's always Asylum. There are a couple things I didn't mention, but I'll let you find those out for yourself. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot left to say about Eldritch. It's a fun experience, but largely straightforward. The game is also relatively short. My first time beating it took about 7.5 hours, counting the 2 hours on my save from years ago. Like most roguelites, the bulk of your runtime will come from unsuccessful runs. My first game-winning run only took 90 minutes. The randomly generated layouts give the game a bit of replayability though, and the Mountains of Madness Antarctica world will give you some additional challenge in playtime, so Eldritch doesn't feel like it's lacking in content or anything. All in all, if a fun, quirky horror-themed FPS that rewards creativity sounds appealing to you, Eldritch is worth a look. There didn't feel like an organic place to mention this, but I just wanted to add that the game has a really great soundtrack. It's fittingly ominous while remaining mostly in the background.